In the last video, we talked about why most people stay broke even when they're earning good money. Today, we're going to solve that problem by showing you exactly where your paycheck should go the moment it hits your account. Because here's the truth. It's not about how much you make, it's about how you allocate what you make. And by the end of this video, you'll have a clear blueprint for managing every single dollar. Let's dive in. The fatal mistake most people make. Before we get into the breakdown, let me show you what most people do wrong. They get paid on Friday, and by Friday night, they're thinking about what they want to buy. By Monday, half the money's gone. By the middle of the month, they're wondering where it all went. This is called spontaneous spending, and it's the enemy of wealth building. The solution? Give every dollar a job before you even think about spending it. This is called intentional allocation, and it's what separates people who build wealth from people who just earn money. The 50-30-20 rule, your starting framework. Now, the most popular budgeting framework out there is the 50-30-20 rule. You've probably heard of it. 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. Here's my honest take. This rule is a good starting point, but it's not aggressive enough if you actually want to build wealth. Think about it. If you're saving only 20% of your income and half of that is going toward debt, you're really only saving 10%. At that rate, it'll take you decades to achieve financial independence. So I'm going to give you a better framework, one that's actually designed for wealth building, not just survival. The wealth building breakdown. Here's how I recommend you split your paycheck. And yes, this is aggressive, but that's the point. First, 50 to 60% goes to essentials. This covers your rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, and minimum debt payments. These are the things you absolutely cannot avoid. Now, if your essentials are eating up more than 60% of your income, you have a problem. Either your housing costs are too high, or you're not earning enough for your lifestyle. This is usually where people get stuck. They commit to expensive rent or a car payment that takes up 70 or even 80% of their income, and then they wonder why they can't save. Here's a reality check. If you're spending $1,500 a month on rent and you're only bringing home $3,000, you're setting yourself up to stay broke. The fix? Either increase your income or decrease your housing costs. I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's the truth. Second, 10 to 15% goes to lifestyle and wants. This is your eating out, entertainment, subscriptions, hobbies, all that stuff. Notice I said 10 to 15%, not 30. This is where most budgets fail. People allocate way too much to lifestyle spending and then have nothing left for the things that actually matter. Let me give you an example. Let's say you bring home $4,000 a month after taxes. 15% of that is $600 for lifestyle spending. That's enough to go out to eat a few times, catch a movie, buy yourself something nice, but it's not enough to live like you're rich when you're not. And that's the key. You need to be okay with delayed gratification. You can't have the lifestyle now and the financial freedom later. You have to choose. Third, 20 to 30% goes to wealth building. This is your savings, your investments, your retirement accounts. This is the money that's going to work for you instead of you working for it. If you're in your 20s or 30s, this should be non-negotiable. Every single month, 20 to 30% of your paycheck should be going into a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, a 401k, or a taxable brokerage account. This is how you build wealth, not by hoping you'll win the lottery, not by waiting for an inheritance, but by consistently investing a significant portion of your income over time. Let me break this down with a real example. Let's say you're 25 years old and you're bringing home $50,000 a year after taxes. That's about $4,000 a month. If you invest 25% of that, that's $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. If you do that for 30 years and you get an average return of 8%, which is pretty standard for a diversified stock portfolio, you'll have about $1.5 million by the time you're 55. That's the power of consistent investing. Fourth, 10% goes to debt repayment beyond minimums. If you have student loans, credit card debt, a car loan, whatever, this is the money you use to attack it aggressively. Here's the strategy. Pay the minimums on everything, then throw this extra 10% at your highest interest debt first. That's called the avalanche method, and it's the mathematically optimal way to get out of debt. Let's say you have $10,000 in credit card debt at 18% interest. If you're only paying the minimum, let's say $200 a month, it'll take you 7 years to pay off, and you'll pay over $8,000 in interest. But if you add an extra $400 a month from this 10% bucket, you'll pay it off in less than 2 years and save thousands in interest. Once you're debt-free, this 10% gets redirected into your wealth-building bucket. So now you're saving 30 to 40% of your income. That's when wealth building really accelerates. Adjusting for your situation. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but my situation is different. I live in New York City where rent is insane. I have kids, I have medical expenses. I get it, life is complicated. So here's how you adjust. If you're living in a high-cost area like New York, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, your essentials might be closer to 65 or 70% of your income. That's okay. But that means you need to be even more disciplined with your lifestyle spending. Maybe that drops to 5 or 10% instead of 15. If you have kids, your essentials will obviously be higher. Childcare in America is no joke. The average cost of daycare is around $1,200 a month. But again, you adjust the other categories. Maybe you cut lifestyle spending down to 5% and focus on just getting 10 to 15% into wealth building until your kids are older and expenses drop. The framework is flexible, but the principles remain the same. Essentials come first, wealth building comes second, lifestyle comes last. Automating your paycheck. Here's the secret that makes all of this work. Automation. If you're relying on willpower to move money around every month, you're going to fail. Willpower is finite. Automation is forever. Here's what you do. The day after your paycheck hits, set up automatic transfers. Move your investment money straight into your brokerage account or retirement account. Move your debt payment money into a separate checking account that you only use for debt. Move your lifestyle money into another account that you use for fun stuff. What's left in your main checking account is for essentials. That's it. You're not making decisions every day about whether you should save or spend. You already decided, and you automated it. This is how wealthy people manage money. They don't have better willpower, they have better systems. The power of increasing your income. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about the other side of this equation. Earning more. Everything I've talked about today assumes your income is fixed, but it doesn't have to be. If you're struggling to make these percentages work, maybe the issue isn't your spending, maybe it's your income. Can you ask for a raise? Can you switch jobs? Can you start a side hustle? In America right now, there are more opportunities than ever to increase your income. You can freelance online, you can drive for Uber on weekends, you can sell stuff on Etsy or Amazon, you can learn a high-income skill like coding or digital marketing. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible, and sometimes earning an extra $500 or $1,000 a month is way easier than cutting your expenses to the bone. Final thoughts. So let's recap. When your paycheck hits, 50 to 60% goes to essentials, 10 to 15% to lifestyle, 20 to 30% to wealth building, and 10% to debt. Automate everything. And if the math doesn't work, either cut expenses or increase income. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a get-rich-for-sure scheme. It requires discipline, sacrifice, and patience. But I promise you, if you follow this framework for 5, 10, 15 years, you will be in a completely different financial position than you are today. If you found this helpful, leave a comment below with your biggest takeaway, and I'll see you in the next one.